Hey everyone, you're home on tools with James. Got something really cool for you today. We're going to build some automatic skylight blinds. I'm going to show you how to do it, save a bit of money, have a bit of fun. Let's go jump in the shed and start the build. Okay, so let's have a bit of a look at what we need here to construct our auto blind. So what I've got here is a linear actuator. Now, these you would come in quite a bit of contact with pretty much every day. If you're central locking in your car uses actuators, that's probably where the most common spot you'll see these things. We're going to use this to move our blind. Now, this is quite a hefty one, this one. This is capable of moving 400 pounds and it's got a stroke of 750 mils, so it's a pretty big banger. And the way these work, it's pretty simple, low maintenance, not much can go wrong. It's just an electric motor. And it pushes a worm gear out inside here, and when you put power to it, it'll basically extend the arm out of the actuator. I'll give you a bit of a look at in action. And then when you change the polarity on the motor, it'll bring it back in. So that's what we're going to use to move our blind back and forward. So pretty cool, right? Super low maintenance and quiet. So this one is 20 decibels above ambient noise, so very, very quiet. Now, I did go a better brand. I went with a Fagali brand. I'll drop the link in the description down below. But I went with a better one. Now, this cost me about $160 Australian, but you could jump on eBay and buy a pretty cheap one, a Chinese sort of manufactured one for around $50, $60. It's up to you what you want to do. I figured these are going up in the roof and I don't want to ever have to touch them again, so I've gone with a bit of quality. So that's our actuator. What you need for these is a couple of mounts. So the mounts I bought, you can get all off the same website, and same with a rocker switch. So this is what we're going to use to move our blinds up and down. So pretty cool, just a little switch. The other thing that we need is drawer slides. Now I bought some pretty hefty ones of these as well. These are capable of holding 140 kilos, and they've got a 750 mil stroke as well. Now interesting to note on these that I bought non-locking ones. So most of the ones you'll find have got a lockout. I don't want that because I don't want it to get to the end of stroke and then lock the hinge. So very important that you get non-locking ones. And they need to obviously be able to move the weight of our blind, or in this case, it's quite a heavy hardwood construction that I'm using. So the timber that I am using is Tassie oak or eucalyptus, if you like. Basically, I've cut everything to size here, and I've got this box. Now, this box here is pretty much just my skylight, and this is my reference. So that's what I'm going to use to build our carriage for our blind off. So everything's cut to size. I'm pretty much just going to do a build lapse of this. I'll put it all together, and then I'll give you a bit of a look at how it all works. So let's jump straight into the build lapse. So I've got my skylight frame and track system built. As you can see, went together pretty easy. I am using Tassie oak, so it has got a little bit of weight in it, and you could absolutely do this cheaper if you wanted to use, just pine or something like that. I want this to be a bit premium, so I've gone with a nicer hard timber. But you can see there that I've built like a track system, all right? So there's a track in that, skylight will sit in here, and then you've got your slide for where the blind's going to go. So that piece is all built. Now, this is the first one of these I've built, and I've got 4 to do, and the reason I've sort of left it here is, one, this is more expensive timber, and I could build the side that's going to be up in the roof cavity just out of treated pine, where you're not going to see it. But probably once I've made one of these and I've worked out the length that I need, so the length I need for my linear actuator that'll be up in the roof versus the slide and the lengths, I'll probably preset these and make them all out of hardwood, just the frame, to give me the guide. But for the first one, I need to work out my exact lengths. The other thing I did is I just glued up on the table. So this is our blind essentially. So this is some 19 mil wide Tassie oak. It's solid. I've glued it together. Just needs to be sanded and finished off. So this is the one that's going to have the track slides joined onto it. And basically, to give you a bit of an idea of what it'll do, it's just going to slide like so on track slides, in and out, and obviously we'll just block off the skylight like so. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start working out exactly where the linear actuator is going to be mounted and what that looks like with some treated pine frame. So I'm going to organise that. I'm going to get the track slides in place, and then we'll jump on to the next step of trying to get it up in the roof. Let's go. So I'll give you a bit of a look at how the actuator works, and I'm just going to pinch a bit of juice off the clubby here. So we need to extend it fully so we can work out exactly how deep to build our framework for our blind. So pretty easy, 2-wire system with this. Depending on which way you put it, negative and positive on the terminals, will determine whether it goes in or whether it goes out. So let's show you extending the actuator. There we go, out she goes. You can see how quiet this one is. I guess you buy better quality, you certainly get the quieter ones. And look, it's not the fastest thing ever, but you probably don't want it to be too fast anyway. I'd rather it be nice and quiet and smooth than, sort of rowdy and fast, if you like. Okay, so I'll give you a bit of a look at how we're setting up this slide system. So I know what height I want my blind to sit in the track system. So we don't want it touching the bottom, we don't want it touching the top. This is not about rolling it in a drawer type system. It's going to be free floating in here, and it's going to be held up by the weight of these sliders. And these sliders are, like I said earlier, are 150 kilos. They can move, and obviously the actuator is going to push it back and forward. So we don't want it sort of touching any of the wood. It's going to free float inside this system. So I've worked out exactly how much these sliders will extend, and I'm going to have them end sort of maybe about 80 mil from the edge of my blind is the sweet spot. So I've just done some markings on the side here, and I've just labelled exactly where I'm going to put it. And if I flip this one over, it'll give you a bit of a look. And the reason I put it on a bit of this timber like this is it just helps me make sure that I get this slide perfectly straight, because what you don't want, you want these two working beautifully parallel together. What you don't want is them to be skewed at all, and doing it this way will ensure that it stays nice and straight. Basically, that'll just sit on there, and I'll build the rest of the frame out there, and then this will slide, and I'll give you a bit of a look at what the height looks like here. See the clearance. I'll give you a better angle here, this is a bit difficult. So you can see the clearance that I've got right in the sweet spot, sitting sort of perfectly in the middle. So pretty happy with that. And once I've attached this, then I can attach my my blind itself. Now this would be really handy to have this separate, because if I was doing it all in one go, it would actually be really difficult to get the screws and the slide on the blind and up in and under. So the fact that I'm sort of building it in the roof cavity frame and I suppose the frame that you'll see, it certainly makes it a lot easier at this stage. So I'm going to make the other one. I'm going to get the slide on that one, and then we're going to start finishing off the bracketry here for our actuator. Let's go. Okay, so I've got the sliding door carcass pretty well built. Now you can see the sliding tracks that we've just built. We've got those in place and nice and straight, and I've affixed the blind, if you like, or the door, whatever you want to call it, into the sliders. Now I've put them right up to my mark here on both sides. And this sliding door, I'll give you a bit of a demo. All right, slides beautifully all the way until it gets to this edge here. Now, because the sliders, I guess the drawer sliders are probably in a position where they're not at their strongest, so they're horizontal and they're not standing up vertically, they do sag a little bit. And what that's creating is the sliders catch. If you listen, you hear that little bit of contact. We don't want that. So what I'm going to do is, where are these little guys? I got these here. So these are just wardrobe runners, and I bought one bracket and I've cut it in half. So I'm actually going to fix these because I've got a bit of space. I'm going to fix those inside. They'll be down that way. And what that'll do is the nylon wheel will just keep the whole thing up a little bit. So this will just go up so it won't sag as it gets to the end, and it'll roll away in the end. The other thing I'm going to do is the bottom of this here, I'm going to chamfer it off with my router just so it doesn't make any contact, or if it does make any slightest bit of contact, it'll glide nice and smooth into its home. So we're getting there. Look, in the end, it was really worth building this in two pieces as well, because what it lets me do now is I've got all this play. You can see I can move it back and forward to my rafter in the roof, and for the actuator, if I need to move it back, you know, the slightest bit, or forward the slightest bit that I can. So I think building it in two pieces is the way, and it will certainly make it easier when we put it up into the roof as well. So I'm going to get these wheels on. I'm going to chamfer off the edge of this this blind, and then we're going to have a look at putting the actuator actually in the unit and motorizing it. Let's go. Okay, we're set up on the table here, and we've got our couple of little nylon wheels. It's hard to see back in there, and the bottom edge chamfered. And fair to say, very happy. Here we go. Look at that, no contact. Slides nice and free. We are good to go. So, now that we've got it up to this point, it's time to put our actuator in. So, what I'm going to do, the original hardware that I was going to use, the pin that goes through the actuator, there's play, and I don't want any play in there. I'm actually going to drill through a wooden dowel pin to put one end of the actuator in, and then up the other end I'm going to make up an L bracket. I'm not going to use the brackets at all that came with it. I'm going to make an L bracket up here to hold the other end of the actuator. So essentially it's going to go through the middle and do all the heavy lifting for us. So let's jump in, put this actuator in. Alright, so I've got the actuator just loosely in place here, and you can see I'm going to drill through here. I'm going to run this M10 bolt. This is a 150mm bolt. I'm basically just going to drill through all the way through my treated pine here, bolt that, nip it up. Beautiful, easy done. Just for on our carriageway system here, just where it goes through the skylight chute, if you like. I'll zoom in a little closer. I've pretty much just drilled out a half semicircle hole there, and it's just enough for the actuator would poke through. So we've got that all good. And at this end, I've got the actuator arm completely extended, and I've also got my drawer slides, or the blind itself with the drawer slides completely extended. So I know that if I mark a hole there and I drill through and I put my dowel pin in, the actuator will be in the perfect fully extended state. So gonna go and put the dowel pin in this M10 bolt through that one. And then I've got a car battery set up there as well. We're going to have a bit of a play. The battery's pretty flat, but we're going to give it a go and see how it moves the blind. Let's go. Okay, so the moment of truth, let's give it a shot with a half-dead car battery. Let's go. So nice and smooth, you can hear that nice quiet motor. It's a bit slow, this car battery's pretty flat. Probably go about, let's say, double the speed once I get it on mains power. But it's looking good. We've got good clearance, it's not rubbing or hitting on anything. Yeah, the dowel pin's working fine by the looks, and the bolt at the back. Not rubbing, not hitting on anything. Too bad, so we should be starting to come up to our skylight chute. So hopefully we've got all good with the clearance, looking pretty good. Look at that. Beautiful, and away. Let's push it back out. Pretty happy with that. The actuator itself as well isn't on too much of an angle, it's pretty well much horizontal, so there's a slight bit of angle, but just enough to keep the clearance off the blind itself. So very happy with that. Alright, so it's about to come to its closed position. It should shut off. Beautiful. Very, very happy. Okay, so as you can see, we're up in the roof, not without a bit of a struggle. Ended up having to change the carriage system. So you'll see at the back here, I've got the actuator itself bolted directly to the pergola, and I've built this cross beam that I'll give you a bit of a closer look. I had to check it out to get the linear actuator through, and I had to dock the back of my slides. Now the reason for this being is that the carriage system would have fit, but trying to get it all up in the roof, that angle and down, I would have had to have taken the tin off on this side of the roof. I didn't want to do that. So I just made the executive decision to knock it off with a recip saw. So you'll see the back of my carriage, what we did have, just cut down there and bolted in like so. It's perfect, works a treat. I'll make the other ones obviously like this as well. Brace board at the back, pretty easy, just pocket hole screwed. A bit of 90 by 45 in place there to support. And then just up where it is, the skylight is, I've just tagged that in with some brad nails. It's not going to go anywhere, particularly when I board all the rest of this up and put some nice architrave and stuff on it. It's wired also. At the moment, I bought one of these cheapo power supplies. So this was a 30 amp one. I bought it on eBay for 30 bucks. It's really easy, just cut off a bit of extension cord, 3 wires in and 2 wires out. And I've wired this to a really basic rocker switch. So basically the wiring on this is you loop one negative into the positive, back and forward, and then you just run the actuators in and you run the power out. So really pretty easy, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube about how to wire a rocker switch. If you do want to know more, just pop something in the comments and I'll get back to you. But it's in and it works. So I'll give you a bit of a look. You can see here, pushing out nicely. It's smooth and quiet, yeah, like it's really, really good. I'm super happy with it. You can see our lockout works really well. I'll come back down, I'll give you a bit of a look. Alright, let there be light. Probably takes around the 20-second mark to cycle. Like I said, probably not going to use these too often, but certainly when you need them, you know, I can afford the 20 seconds. Probably watching tally or something while I push it across, but as you can see, it's pretty cool. You can have a conversation over it. It's not some, you know, massively loud thing either. Beautiful blue sky day as well. And there we go, we're away. So thanks for checking out the vid.
If you did like it, please consider subscribing. If you want anything covered in a bit more detail, just drop it in the comments. Smash a like too, it really helps me out on the channel. You've been Home Tools with James, and I'll catch you in the next one.